going out there, I've seen, for the past few years, the number of scholarships that's been gotten, right? The number of universities, prestigious universities that you've been matriculated into, the jobs that you do, by and large, Josephians and you especially, all of you will be in a very important position of influence. And influence is a responsibility that you cannot take lightly. What you say, what you do will impact many below you, many around you. Be them 5 persons, 50 persons, 500 persons, 5,000 persons. Like Mr. Liu Yip, former Josephian, head of civil service. He commands a workforce of 60,000 people, 60,000, myself included. What he says will impact 60,000 persons, plus the millions of Singaporeans. Right? Like Deputy Prime Minister Teo Chee Hean, also a former Josephian. All of you will be in a position to influence. Now with this, every issue that comes across you, that comes in front of you, must bear careful thought and consideration. That's why here I think in SJI, we make sure that when you leave SJI, you are ready. You're ready to face the world, you're ready to lead, and you're ready to be a person for others to make impactful, positive change. Right? Now, why we invited and disinvited the speakers, that is something that the teachers and ourselves got to sort out. We've got to sort out that, okay? But why was the speaker perhaps not or disinvited? Now, the speaker was a LGBTQ activist. Okay, she was an advocate for the LGBTQ issue. First thing that we actually want to think about is the idea of an activist. What is an activist? Do any of you know what an activist is? Activist. Any of you have taken part in an active demonstration, etc.? You realize Singapore, we don't have the protests that we have, the students do in France, in European countries, American instances. If you read Plato's Republic, you'll know the reason for that, okay? But an activist, by definition, is the vigorous campaigning for political change, structural political change. Now, if you realize, as a school, as a Catholic Lasallian school, how do we want to impact change? We look at the example of St. John Baptist de La Salle. When he was in France, right? He saw poverty around him. He saw children who were neglected in schools. He saw children that were not valued by society. And as a priest, as the Catholic priest, he knew that every single child has got intrinsic value because that child is a child of God. God has placed His love and care in each child. St. John Baptist de La Salle didn't go and campaign against the French government or, the Parisian bureaucracy and says, hey, we got to do something. No. He got a few teachers and he started his own school to deliver what he believed was best. He started a band of brothers, the De La Salle Brothers, the Christian Brothers schools. He impacted change from within by directly affecting the person beside him. Okay, this is an important lesson for us because this is something that we, or I myself, is constantly reminded. If we want to start change, start with myself and what I can do for my fellow man. I'm not going to go write letters to the foreigners and complaining this, complaining that. No. My call, as a Christian, as a Catholic, what can I do with the gift that God has given me to help my fellow man beside me? Simple. If I want to make a change, I'll get into the position where I can make change peacefully, cohesively, coherently. I'm also guided by what St. Thomas More said. He says, I serve God and I serve country, in that order. Activism, any form of activism is socially divisive. It divides society. It divides a community. And the principle of a Josephian of VP Leonard is we are community builders. It goes against the very grain of what we stand for. We are community builders. We don't divide community. That is something that every one of you got to think about in your journey in SJI as you grow. Okay, activism. Now, the other issue, of course, is about discrimination. What exactly is this discrimination? Before we jump on any bandwagon and says, oh yeah, this so-and-so is discriminated against, this group is discriminated against, has potential leaders, has decision makers, has influencers. How do we understand discrimination? What is important to think about when we talk about discrimination? How does discrimination look like? In what forms does it take? How is the discriminated against? In what form? Is discrimination the lack of freedom for or the lack of freedom from? What exactly is discrimination? And what about those who are affected by this discrimination? That means within this discriminated group and groups outside, the feelings of others. How does it look like? Do we consider the feelings of those when we advocate for this particular group? Okay? It's important, yes. The newspapers, the online media, there's lots of information. But your call is to be discerning enough to see that through. You've got the ability to think and think well. See through, cut away all the misinformation, all the static, all the distractions. What exactly is the core issue? When you talk about discrimination, what exactly is the point? What exactly is the discrimination about? And what exactly is wanted or not wanted? This begs a lot more discussion. A lot more discussion. I wouldn't say I have the full answer. Okay, but it's something that you need to think about. Before you come and advocate an issue or voice an opinion, think about it. Form your own opinion with all the information you can get. Research it properly. Okay? There's something that, again, I call on you to really, really exercise good judgment, good thinking. Now, perhaps I can also add in a little bit on this issue of LGBTQ. All of you are in a stage of growing up. I mean, growing up is never easy. I went through this stage as well, right? I know your PSE Year 5. Let's see, PSE Year 5, you covered so far lessons on being of your self-worth, significance, right? Of freedom, of knowing your gifts and talents. For the Year 6s, you've gone through a session on seeking meaning, purpose, and significance, and freedom, and learning to love. It's about, if you look at it, it's about identity seeking. And with the identity, what do you do with it? What is your identity? What is my identity? Right now, standing in front of you, okay? My identity is that of a vice principal of an educator. I also got the identity of a husband, a father, okay, a Josephian, a Roman Catholic. If I change my job, my identity may not be of an educator anymore, right? My identity may change, but it cannot be so much that it changes every few years. There must be a core identity, what I am, who I am. For John Baptist de La Salle, he will see me as a child of God. I see myself as a child of God. God has made me, God has given me life, God has given me gifts, and God has given me purpose. Things may change, but I'll always remain a child of God. And from there, my other identities come into play. When I become an educator, I serve God through education. When I become a husband, I cherish my wife like Christ cherishes the church. When I become a father, I look after my children as God will look after me. The context stems from my core identity. As you grew up, as 17-year-olds, as 18-year-olds, that's the moment you are formed, and all your years through schooling, your experiences in school and at home forms your identity. Who are you? You've got to answer this question, who are you? We want all of you to leave SJI knowing that you are a child of God, that you've got intrinsic worth. That we hope will be the foundation on which you are built upon, your own foundation. Then everything else in how you live will take reference from that, knowing your own self-love. Okay, it's not easy. Like I said, growing up is a difficult time. You have friends around you. You might say so, blessed by being in a very good school. You've got wonderful teachers. We help one another. We grew up with one another. We prepare for life with one another. Now this issue, this LGBT issue, Ms. Beatrice Cho has shared with me some data from the CCE skit that you had the other day. I think quite a number of you have raised the issue of LGBTQ discrimination, something that we need to talk about. We'll arrange a session on this, okay, one of the compass sessions, to explore this further, okay? All excited all of a sudden. Any concerns? Any concerns? Now, as a Catholic school, as a Catholic asylum school, okay, we have our own beliefs and values that is centered on the teachings of Christ and the gospel. We have our own set of values. We also advocate our own set of values. How do we advocate them? By helping in education. Okay. We also, and you know, as a Catholic school, shouldn't we also stand for what we believe in? Everyone is called to stand up one day. The call, what do you believe in? As a Catholic school, this is what we believe in. And the teachings of the Catholic Church. That's why the call for all of you is really, as you form your identity, what do you believe in? Because that will guide you throughout life. That will guide you throughout life. How meaningful and purposeful your life will be dependent on what you believe in. Okay? I think I'm going to end here because the time is up already. I think you need to go prep for class. Okay, but I hope that you'll take back some of the thoughts that I shared with you. If you have any concerns, you're going to share your thoughts with me, please feel free to email me. My email system is in the system. Okay? My email address is